Hi guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be planting 5 different varieties of perennials that like full sun. In the back of the gator here, you can see we have 3 different varieties of Siberian Iris, which I love. I'm so excited to plant these today. And then we've got some gorgeous Stokes Asters, and I'm going to show you some that I planted last year so you can see what they look like after, being in the ground for a year. And then we have one beautiful variety of Salvia, and it's got lots of color on it right now. And I did try to get out here early today to beat the heat. It's supposed to be pretty hot today, 103 tomorrow, but that's kind of July and August for us. Last year we had over 30 days of 100+ degree temperatures, which seems like a lot, except for we are high desert. The one saving grace, we do get cool at night. So it'll go from 105 during the day all the way down to high 60s, low 70s at night. So everything gets a little bit of a break. And then it does take a little while during the day for it to get that hot. So you have that reprieve. But a couple of things, because I do notice questions every time I'm planting in the heat, because we plant pretty much year round. Whenever we can dig a hole in the ground, we will plant. I think we were putting in trees first week of January. Was it last year? Because the ground was thawed out enough. We were able to install a big evergreen. So a couple of things when you're planting when it's really hot, the plant might wilt. And just expect that. Set yourself up to expect that, especially if you're planting things in full sun. The first week or so, it might wilt a little bit during the hottest part of the day, but they usually pick up when it gets a little cooler or they get into a little bit more shade, and that's just to be expected for some things. Most things though, as long as you keep, that's the second thing, as long as you keep enough moisture to the plant, they're usually fine. So that's kind of what we do. I mean, just make sure to keep them really moist, and if they wilt, don't freak out. Just give it a little extra water. I popped the tags down here. I'll try to do a better job at pointing my camera. Last week, my goodness, I was trying to show you tags and I was like this, to where the tags were barely showing bottom of the screen. So our Siberian Iris, you guys, I'm so excited. I'm gonna show you a patch of these we have that are established. The leaves on these, I mean, you can see right here, there's a little bit of brown on the tips because they're in containers and they just, they do different things in containers, but they tend to stay nice and green all season long, as opposed to bearded iris, which tend to get real brown and we have to groom lots of dried up looking leaves off them throughout the season. So these just are a lower maintenance, sturdier version, I guess. But we've got one variety called Jeweled Crown, gorgeous purple. Let me get into some shade. Butter and Sugar, isn't that gorgeous? That lemony yellow with the white center, and then Ruffled Velvet, which I just planted one of these from the bunch on the west side. And I think that's gonna be really pretty. And then our other perennials here, Totally Stoked Riptide, Stokes Aster, and these will get about 2 feet tall, and they can spread out like 3 feet, I think. Let me double check. I kind of remember being shocked about that last year. Spacing, yeah, 32 to 36 inches, my goodness. They're a zone 5 through 9, and they bloom early through late summer, like into early fall. So they're a really productive, colorful plant. Now I did plant more of these along our lane early this spring, and they kind of, and this happened with my other ones too. Last year when I planted them, they kind of struggled. So we're gonna see what these do. I think maybe it just takes a season for them to establish, because this year, let me show you these. They look awesome. They're in full sun right now, which is probably why they're doing so well. But look at them. They are so pretty, and they've grown so much. Now at night, their blooms kind of close up, and then during the day, they open huge. So you can see that we're still early enough to where the blooms are a little bit closed, but they open up completely like flat, like this. And they're just so beautiful. I just think they're gorgeous. Well, especially too with the opalescence phlox back here. Oh, try to get a different angle. Yeah, look at them from this side. You see that beautiful soft pink and then the soft lavender color there. I love them. So I can live through a season of them looking a little puny for them to do that in the landscape, that's for sure. And maybe these won't do that. Maybe it was just kind of a one-off on the first few I planted. And I stopped here because I was kind of thinking of repeating some of these right here. I think that might be a really beautiful look in here. I'm gonna think about it while we look at our Salvia, which is the Violet Profusion. Stays a little bit shorter than this one. It's a really pretty combination actually. But this one grows 14 to 16 inches tall, spreads out about 20 inches, zone 3 through 8. And this one does require a shear back. We just got through cutting back all the rest of our Salvia in the garden, so most of it's looking pretty short at the moment, trying to recover from that. But you get one flush of blooms early on in the summer, and then you have your cutback time, and then they flush back and give you another beautiful show later on. But before we get to planting, I want to run you over to our really gorgeous patch of Siberian Iris so you can see kind of what I'm talking about as to why I like these so much. And I'm just gonna grab this one in case we find a different spot that we like better for these. Ooh, you know what? They might be pretty right in there. Or the salvia. Okay. Okay. See that drift right there? Aren't those gorgeous? So I don't know the exact variety of this Siberian iris, but the other ones that we've got are going to be very similar to this one. This one was behind our chicken coop. I think that's where this one came from, or in the north garden by where the pond is. Previous owners had planted this in the garden and I loved them so much, but I think they were behind the chicken coop because they were growing up so tall into the crabapple that I planted that you couldn't see any of the blooms. So we dug them all out and brought them out here. I think it was last spring we did that. And they bloom beautiful yellow in the springtime. In fact, I on purpose planted the day glow yellow dahlias down here because I enjoyed that yellow, that bright yellow right in here so much this spring. I thought when they're gone, I'm gonna miss it. So let's plant some yellow down here. And I just think they're gorgeous. You can see that they still look pretty darn fresh and they maintain this through the whole season. Also, right next door to it, a bunch of Echinacea purpurea that we started from seed. Isn't that beautiful? We've kind of added to the drift over the last couple of seasons. I mean, we could just keep going through here. I just think the mix too of the iris with the echinacea is just gorgeous. I love it when things work out like that. It doesn't always. Sometimes you try a combination, it just doesn't jive quite like you want it to. And sometimes you just don't even try, and like this one just kind of formed up and looks beautiful. And I didn't even do it on purpose. Okay, back over here on this side, I do think I want to put one patch of iris behind these roses. I think they'd be a nice backdrop. I don't think I want yellow back here because these are a really light colored rose, so I want something to contrast them. This is called, what are these? The Lady Gardener roses right here, which I need to deadhead, but you know how it goes. They're a light apricot color, so I think one of the purple varieties back in here would be nice. Okay, so between the two purple ones, the jeweled crown stays shorter. So this one grows about, 34 inches tall. This one grows about 3 by 3. So they're pretty similar. This one's a zone 3, the ruffled velvet, and the jeweled crown is a zone 4. This one is supposed to bloom midsummer. This one blooms late spring through early summer. I think I'm gonna go with this one. They're gonna look a little bit puny today because they're shorter, but I think they're gonna fill in gorgeous right here. They'll look beautiful from this side too. 3 feet. Okay, you know what? If these got 4 feet tall, I would say that these might be more appropriate. I was just thinking about the overall size of the Lady Gardener roses, and they do have the potential to be about the same height as these, unless we have them trimmed back. And I was just looking at it visually right now. After they've been trimmed back and deadheaded, they're a lot shorter than they normally are. So anyway, something to consider. All the eventual sizes of everything. I just want these to be in a spot where they will shine. So we're gonna make sure of that. And you guys, this is kind of how I roll. I do not do, for the most part, plans in the garden. Like usually I just pick up things that I think are really pretty and we find spots for them. Unless I've got like the initial plans for the formal flower garden or things like that. Like I knew that I wanted a lot of boxwoods and a lot of lavender and the linden trees, that kind of thing. But as far as like borders, flower borders, absolutely no plan. It's like a plop and plant sort of situation. This would be nice. Right in here. Maybe set them down. I'll kind of explain everything around them. Okay, so again, you can't really see them at their current height from the front of the border, but you will be able to. So I dotted them along the back side of all of this stuff. We've got can't remember the variety of blue spruce. My goodness, but it doesn't get huge. We've got our Evelyn rose right here. We planted it this spring. I'll show you another one that's got more fresh blooms on it. We've got the Firefly Fuchsia Yarrow, looking absolutely gorgeous. We've also got the Supertunia Mini Vista Plum Vein. Got that sort of throughout this area. And then I did plant a Weigela, which apparently had a sedum in the pot with it. And the sedum actually looks like it's doing better than the Weigela. So I don't know who's gonna win. We'll wait and see. Then we've got some Purple Illusion Veronica. Look at how gorgeous that is. And the pollinators love it. See all that activity? And that is backed by some reminiscent crema roses, a lemony lace elderberry, Now across the way here is the other Evelyn. Oh, and the beautiful hardy geraniums we planted last year. Okay, look at these blooms. Aren't those beautiful? Oh my gosh. So pretty. There's a weed. Ah, got it. Sneaky weed. Okay, let's get this first set in the ground. Those are in. They look beautiful. I love it when the light catches the leaves and just makes them look like they glow in a way. I think they look really good with all the other textures we have here because in this immediate area, we don't have any grassy texture. So this gives us that without being a grass. And we should expect some midsummer color from these as well, which will be nice. Also, I did leave a couple of drip lines exposed. Paul usually comes along and runs drip to the plants that we put in the ground. So he'll know where there's already some drip lines that he can tap into and make sure that there's water to the rest. Siberian Iris tend to like it on the more moist side, which is kind of perfect for this spot in our garden. This spot tends to be very hard pan. It holds onto moisture more than any other area of our garden. So we'll be able to run probably normal drip line to these, nothing extra, which will be great. I think I want to plant the Salvia on this side. In fact, I brought one over. Let's take a look. So we've got our catalpas here looking absolutely beautiful. Remember when we cut these back all the way to the ground pretty much? They just grow so quickly and they're in such beautiful bloom, but there's nothing below them. We did annuals here last year, but I'd like to work on some perennial interest, and this purple looks gorgeous with this pink. So I'm thinking right in here. Wouldn't that be pretty? Let's do it. Should we plant them like a hedge? I think so. How wide did these get again? What did I say, 20 inches, I think? Oh my gosh. Oh, they need to bottle that. It smells so good. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? What in the world? So I thought, okay, well, I see this line and I see this line, so perfect, I'll plant it right here. Couldn't see that there was one right here. Are you kidding me? Oh, jeez. All right, we're gonna just try to plant it underneath-ish. Drip's already taken care of right here, I suppose. What are the odds I'm gonna hit it on this side? Pretty high. Those look really pretty right there. Salvia tends to naturalize for us, so it will seed itself around in this area and fill in eventually. Here's a look at it from the other side. It happens to be right in the line of the Corinthian linden shade right now. But it'll be in the sun here in just probably an hour or so. And while I was over here, I found a spot I think that's gonna work great for the Stokes Asters and another spot for Iris. Stokes Asters right in here. We do have a little Weigela, but if we tuck in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this space, or maybe we'll tuck them further down that way, we've got the Flavorette Honey Apricot Roses, which are currently out of bloom, but they will start blooming here shortly. That's what we've got right in the front, and then we've got a bunch of Anise Hyssop right behind. And those are just getting ready to open up. The bees are excited. Also in this space, we do have some bearded iris, and this particular patch tends to not brown. I don't know what the deal is, except for maybe it's that hard pan over here and the amount of moisture that, holds on in this soil. Maybe that's to the benefit of this type of plant. I just love the way they look. Oh, they're so pretty. These already need to be thinned. We just moved these last year and thinned them out. My word. And then I also found a spot for the butter and sugar iris. They're gonna be next to President Lincoln lilacs, so I'm hoping they're in bloom maybe at roughly the same time. So we have that pale yellow with the lavender. It's gonna be so pretty. But I thought tucking a patch right back in here of that grassy iris texture would be really nice. While we are at it, I need to prune this lilac up. You can see that the suckers have kind of taken over the bottom. I need to thin out the canopy a little bit. I want these 3, it's like a hedge of President Lincoln lilacs. I want them to resemble small trees in the end, to where their leaf canopy probably starts about here eventually, and then the tree part is up here so that you can kind of see through them in this space. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that. We'll get the Stokes Asters in, the butter and sugar iris, and the lilac pruning, and then we'll take a look. They all turned out beautiful where they ended up. And it's so fun working in this space because you can see behind me, we haven't done a whole lot in this area. In fact, we had to remove the crabapple, the Indian magic that I had planted out here. We're not sure exactly what happened. It's one of those unexplained mysteries. So that tree is gone. So we'll be looking to replace that at some point. But it's largely empty in here, so filling in some spaces is so fun. But here are the Stokes Asters. And I went in a little bit less formal with these. Like I did a little grouping right here because it just seemed like a natural fit. And I had initially kind of dotted them throughout to where it was more of a continuous line of them. And I wasn't loving it. So I decided to pop the 2 out that were here and make them more of a trio, and then leave these a little bit more separate. So this Weigela will sort of fill in right here, and these will hug the edges of it. And then we can come in with some kind of a ground cover, maybe to start in like right in between the Echinacea and the Stokes Aster. And then it can get a little wider right in there and then finish over by the sedum. I think that would be really pretty. And you can see that these flowers are opening up more now. Aren't they just stunning? They're just gorgeous. And there the Salvia already getting into a little bit more sun. And then right across the way here, you can see the lilac. My goodness, you can actually see through it now. I'm gonna eventually, I probably should do it sooner rather than later. I'm gonna have to take out a couple of these. Well, maybe not. I was thinking I was gonna take out a couple of the major branches. There's one going up through the center that I could probably take out, but I don't know. I think just keeping the canopy a little bit lightened up top and leaving those branches will be fine. But look at the iris. Oh, again, this is the butter and sugar variety. So those will grow and fill in and look like that patch up front. And we'll bring that beautiful late spring, early summer color, hopefully, you know, coinciding a little bit with the lilacs blooms. And then we'll just continue to fill in this area. A little update on the currants here. Now this is one that one of you guys dropped down by the garden center. It was a start from your garden, which I thought was so special. And that plant is doing great. I added 2 more to the mix. There's a red lake and a black consort maybe. Anyway, and then I've got some cherry shrubs I thought I might put in here so that it would like stay in keeping with the edibles. In fact, let's take a look right here. Look at this. Oh my gosh, snack time. Blackberries are just, they're starting to rock right now. Yum. And they're slightly warm from the sun. Haven't got a tart one yet. Look at these. I need to come out and pick today. Sent my mom home with a bunch the other day. And I have to say, so we have in the middle here, this is a total side note, but I've got black satin and Natchez, which I was going to remove because last year they just underperformed compared to our triple crowns, which are on the end. I've got triple crowns there and triple crowns here, but I'm super happy it ended up the way it did because you can see that these are bearing early. All 4 of these in the center, and our triple crowns, they're forming up, but they're going to be a later blackberry. So we've got a perfect like graduation of production out here where we can have some early harvest and some later harvest, thus not, you know, getting through all the harvest at the same time. Oh, okay, I just spotted this one in here. Look at how enormous these berries are. One more view of this iris. Look at it from this side. Isn't that the perfect texture in there? There's something so natural and cattail-esque about it. I love that so much. Okay, now we've got the jeweled crown iris to plant, and then we're done for the day. It's already starting to heat up. The perfect spot for these. Oh my gosh, these iris are perfect behind this fountain. Those iris, especially once they fill in and they grow taller, they're going to create the most gorgeous backdrop behind this fountain, which I did refill. I think the tube is plugged. I can kind of see in there, and I can see there's something plugging it. And in my effort to try to unplug it, I think I disconnected the tube from the pump, and the top piece is too heavy for me to remove by myself. So I'm gonna have to get the guys out here to help me with that. But I would like to get her back up and running and or replace her with a similar shape and size fountain. But there's something about the way she's structured and the view from the house. There's like this perfect picture opening to where when you're at the house, you can see straight to her, and she draws your eye, and I love her right here. So I'd really like to figure out how to get her operational in a way that makes sense and not having to like put a bunch of shade cloth in the bottom to diffuse the water. I don't know. She just tucked in here so beautifully. But boy, we've got 10 of the iris back in here. Just ignore the cedar. I'm giving it a minute. This is a Korean cedar we planted, and it did push some new growth. So even though it looks burned, I'm going to give it a moment. But for now, we'll just focus on the iris because they're just stunning. Oh my goodness. And the stuff around her. I planted some of our Fama white pincushion flowers that we started from seed, and those are so gorgeous and kind of whimsical. And then we've got this drift of Russian sage right here that I could just hear the bees working that this morning. And this whole border has really filled in nicely. I'm really enjoying it. And I wonder, so this is Bethany right over here, this beautiful kind of purpley pink bloom. There's usually always a bumblebee. Let's see if there is one right now. Oh, yep, look at this. The Bethany is a bumblebee attractor, big time. I'll come into visibility here. There we go. Look at that big old bumble. I am really happy with everything we put in the ground today. I think all of the spots they ended up in are just absolutely perfect. And we'll be monitoring them for water over the next little bit just to make sure, during this heat that they are good to go. Everything so far we've planted this year has done really well. Even up to this point, we've had some hot days and we keep on planting. So far so good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I really enjoyed being out here planting these things. I hope you're all having a great day and we will see you in the next one. Bye.